Hey, good morning, Facebook land. Time for another ugly marketing, and me and 007 here are going to give you the skinny about defining yourself. Now, the story I'm going to tell is specific about coaching and consulting, right? As a matter of fact, that's the crux of the story. However, listen to this because by ever so slightly changing, you can, in other words, you can translate the information I'm about to give you into any business. I'm going to use a coaching and consulting business, but you can translate it into any business. So anyway, years ago, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, something like that, I was talking to somebody who was deep into direct marketing, deep into coaching and consulting, and et cetera, et cetera. And during the conversation, I kept saying coaching and consulting, coaching and consulting, coaching and consulting, as if they're the same thing or interchangeable almost. And finally he says to me, Everett, listen, you understand that coaching and consulting are two substantially different things, right? He said, now, the way you market them is very similar, but what you deliver is substantially different. And I said, well, how's that, right? Because I'd never heard anybody say this before. I've heard, basically, what I'd heard is people using the words coaching and consulting interchangeably. Well, the guy says this. A coach takes on a certain level of personal responsibility for the results of the coached, right, of the people they're coaching. So if you think about an NFL play, an NFL coach, he has a certain level of responsibility, a tremendous level of responsibility in that case, for making sure that the team wins. And even if the team is not winning because of because the players are not doing their part or not doing what they're supposed to be doing, well, that just means that the coach can't motivate them. So the owners of the team will go find another coach, because the coach is responsible for the results. A consultant, on the other hand, is responsible to deliver accurate information, to deliver good work product, and to continue working with the client as long as, in whatever way they're contractually obligated to. But they're not responsible for the results the client gets. They're responsible for delivering something, information, work product, whatever. They're responsible for delivering something that will create the results that the client wants, but they're not responsible for motivating the client to use what they're given. So if you're calling yourself a coach, you have to take a certain level of responsibility for the results of the people who are paying you. If you're calling yourself a consultant, you have to take responsibility over what you deliver to those people. But the results they get, in other words, if they use what you're giving them the way they're supposed to, they should get great results. But you're not responsible for getting them to use what you're giving them. So that's an important differentiation. And it's, coaching comes with a certain amount of connotation to the word. So now, translate that into something else. Whatever business you're in, you want to think very seriously and very deeply about what you're calling yourself, about the title you put on yourself, on the people who you go out, the people you work with, your salespeople, your staff members, your employees of all kinds. You want to be very careful about the names and positions that you give these people, because you want them to imply, you want the names, the position names of the people to imply that they are there to help the client or customer, but you want to do so. So, for example, let me give you an example from the roofing business. I never called my my salespeople. I never called them salespeople, obviously. Most places call them estimators. Oh, here's the estimator's job to go out and give you an estimate. I didn't even do that. I called my people roofing consultants. So they would go out and they would inspect the roof and they would give a report on what they found. And then along with the report, they would give an estimate to repair any deficiencies up to and including replacing the whole roof. But you understand, they weren't out there to do an estimate. They weren't even out there, certainly weren't out there to sell anything, quote unquote. They were out there to inspect the roof and give an opinion, a written opinion about the condition of the roof. It makes all of the difference in the world when you're dealing with homeowners. So whatever business you're in, you want to make sure that you define yourself in a way that is going to imply a level of professionalism and a level of help with your clients, but is not going to mislead them into thinking that you're going to be doing more than you are planning on doing or than you're willing to do. People use the word coach because it sells more. Well, it sells more because unconsciously people know that if you're a coach, you have some responsibility for the people you are coaching. And of course, that means that, somebody who is going to take some of the responsibility off of you for doing what you're supposed to do, that's a nice way of pushing off responsibility, which is really what these people oftentimes are paying for. They're paying to give their responsibility for their success to somebody else, right? That's why coaching is easier to sell sometimes, or that's why coaching is generally easier to sell to entrepreneurs than consulting is. But are you delivering what you are implicitly or implying that you're giving an implied promise? Are you delivering on that implied promise? Whatever your name is, whatever you call yourself, whatever business that you're in, you want to make a good, solid promise, but you don't want to overpromise. And a lot of that can be found, as crazy as it sounds, as insane as it sounds, it makes a difference. A lot of that can be found simply in the title of the position that you give yourself. What do you call yourself professionally? Think about it, give it some thought, and come up with a good name. Cheers.